My boss knew I went to shows sometimes, and we were looking for ways to increase revenue with the arcade. And he basically said, you go to shows, put shows together. And so we just kind of jumped in completely blindly.
Welcome to when it rains, starts to road, Arizona, take a long ride, Palo Verde, sweet aroma.
Gameworks was owned by Sega. So like we did this first round of, I think we did a couple shows without corporate knowing. And then the mall started getting involved and trying to tell us no. And we had to go through a bunch of hoops and like get different insurance. We didn't charge for shows per se, but you had to purchase a $5 game card to come in. The Bled was already big at the time, but they came and did like 3 shows for us, I think. Gatrot did 1 or 2. They got their music in front of 14-year-olds that weren't going to see them play bigger venues. If they were playing at Scrappy's, maybe not all of their friends could come see them. So it gave them a different place for their friends to see their bands play.
It kind of gave that north side outlet for a space and a venue, and like you and your friends could kind of...
That wasn't Scrappy's or the living room.
Yeah, it wasn't Scrappy's, it wasn't living room, and it was, you know, you could take things to like that other next level of playing out. It really did kind of form its own little kind of scene.
All these downtown kids that played at Scrappy's, you know, they all drove up to Foothills Mall to play at Gameworks.
I think a lot of people heard about it through like flyers and word of mouth and stuff like that.
I mean, the internet was a thing, but it wasn't really a thing. I think MySpace had started maybe a couple years prior. So it's not like if you were in high school, you had a lot of other stuff to do.
I didn't really want to spend much time at home. So it was a place for me to go after school. I was pretty good at DDR. There were a couple kids who were just a little bit better than me, but I mean, I would sometimes pass them up. I ended up playing in a tournament and I ended up winning a video game and like $50 in a gift card.
As we had these kids coming into the mall at 10 o'clock, mall security was just furious and hated it. It was providing so much work for them. Tony, the security guard, he was this old white-haired man, but he hated us. And then if you're a 14-year-old kid and you have a mall security guard being like, where are you supposed to be? Then you're going to give them sass right back.
Dude, this guy was the biggest jerk. He would always try to kick us out. We'd actually get him to crack a joke and laugh with him. And then next Friday, it's like he didn't remember any of us. And we had to go through it all over again.
We had to strike a bunch of different deals. Even though it was annoying for mall management, we were bringing people into the mall, and that is their goal as well.
The mall itself would open at like 6 in the morning, and that's where the well-to-do old folks would do their speed walking around the peripheral of the mall to get their exercise in.
It's almost like kind of like a Stranger Things kind of universe, even though it was in 2000, not in the 80s. But I remember going down this long, like brightly lit hallway, and you would just pop out and you're in this like loud arcade game place right next to the skee ball machine or something, and like you have to like go plug behind it, and like it's all ground level, you know, there's no stage that I remember.
We basically set up these hardcore bands in the birthday party section.
I'm here in the little sound booth and they're like, you know, boost up the levels after every song. I don't understand how anyone could hear anything in there. It was just like craziness.
Chugga, 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 chugga. Killer breakdowns.
People are wearing like the double belts, you know, and they got like the emo here.
Like, yeah, that music scene was crazy. I mean, I thought Screamo was going to take over the world when that was happening, you know.
I don't think I ever got paid for any of those gigs. Maybe later on, I don't know. I mostly just got like little cards with a bunch of video game money on them.
Everything was just, what can you get done for free? And that's why like bands were paid in pizza and video games. As we got a little, like as it became a little more popular and bigger, we were able to say like, okay, here's $50 gas money, but it was never like much. We did our best to like make sure that they were getting the hospitality. You know, we knew people in bands, be like, hey, we've got this band that needs a place to stay, can anyone help out? I would always handle all of these mall logistics between security and management and the arcade. But I was in this car accident and was completely out for roughly a month. And by the time I had returned to work, the mall was like, we're done. We're not doing this. Our operations manager, Alexis Favis, and Ali Pogue were the managers at the time. But I believe that they used that time where I was out to just be like, nope, things are out of control. That basically that one security guard that just used that as the impetus because I was not around to fight the outcome. And what happened was I ended up transferring through Gameworks to bring live music into the Long Beach location because they were so happy with how it had gone in Tucson. I just called in all the favors, like from all of the bands that had toured through Tucson that lived in LA, had it all set up. And then for whatever reason, Gameworks just said, oh, we're not going to do it. And it was like the 3 days before the show was supposed to happen, and it was marketed, and I had asked all these bands to do it. Everyone was ready, and I had to cancel. I did feel really betrayed. I was really proud of what I had done in Tucson, and I was excited to get the opportunity to expand on that.
But I remember it being a very vibrant place, and on nights of shows, yeah, you could see like punk rock kids all over the mall. They all got there early, and they were all going to be at the show. I feel like that's over.
It was the place to be, Gameworks at the mall after hours, you know.
There's a cool DIY culture behind all of it. And that's what that space created, was like the definition of it, you know? And most importantly, it was pretty much ran by 4 women.
So many of the bands that played there are still doing music. Like the fact that it had an impact, like hopefully, you know, whether it exposed them to new music or bands or whatever it was, I just hope that it had that impact for more people than I realized. That's all.
Deep in the Sonoran, there's a place that's tucked away, where healers turn to monsters and their homes are made of clay. It's a small dot on a map, you might miss it in a snap, like a barrel of old whiskey getting better with each batch.